The Democratic Whip.
Madam President, I rise to discuss the Senate's urgent need to confirm nominations of Rebecca Lutzko to be U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Ohio and April Perry to serve as U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois. On 5 previous occasions, I have come to the floor of the Senate to request unanimous consent to move these nominees forward. Each time, the junior senator from Ohio has objected. He campaigned for the Senate claiming he would be tough on crime. But now that he's here, he proudly brags that he wants to, quote, grind the Department of Justice to a halt. These communities desperately need these nominees in place. There are 85 U.S. attorneys across the United States. Under President Donald Trump, we approved all 85 without a record roll call. Voice vote. It was an understanding that we would debate the issue of an attorney general. When it came to the U.S. attorneys in individual cities and states, it was too important for us to slow these down with additional procedural requirements on the floor. And so we do background checks on these U.S. attorney nominees on a bipartisan basis, and once they clear, we add them to the calendar. That's when the junior senator from Ohio stepped in and decided he would try to stop the process. How important is the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Ohio that he is holding up? The entire nation has been impacted by the opioid epidemic, but Ohio has been especially hard hit. In recent years, fentanyl has been involved in 80% of unintentional drug overdose deaths within the state of Ohio. Last year, federal law enforcement officials and local partners in Ohio seized over 87,000 fentanyl-laden tablets in a span of less than 4 months. And over the course of 1 year, from April 22 to April 23, more than 5,000 Ohioans lost their lives to drug overdoses. 5,000. Let that sink in. On average, every day, 14 Ohio families lose a loved one to drugs. How important is it to have a U.S. attorney in Ohio and in Illinois working on this drug crisis that claims so many lives every single day? Can we really make an excuse that we have some political petulance at work on the floor of the Senate that stops us from putting a prosecutor in place to stop this drug trafficking? The U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Ohio plays a significant role in holding drug traffickers accountable. Last month, this office secured a 320-month sentence for a Toledo-based man who was a local drug distributor for the Sinaloa cartel and had helped traffic fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine into the state of Ohio. In addition, federal prosecutors found this defendant had engaged in sex trafficking and secured a 140-month sentence after he was convicted. Notably, the U.S. Attorney's Office coordinated this with both the Toledo Metro Drug Task Force and Toledo Human Trafficking and Child Exploitation Task Force. That's what an efficient U.S. Attorney's Office does to keep the people of Ohio and Illinois safe. Why in the world would any senator stand up and object to a U.S. attorney prosecutor who is working to stop this drug trafficking across his state? Well, the senator from Ohio explained it. He is upset, Madam President. He is upset that the U.S. Department of Justice, through a special counsel, would actually consider indicting the former President of the United States. And because he's upset, and he calls it weaponization, he's going to make sure that in his own state, there's not a federal prosecutor doing the job that should be done to stop narcotics. And in my state of Illinois, the same thing. This is unprecedented. It's not happened in the history of the Senate. You can be upset, petulant, worried, hate it that a friend of yours in politics has been indicted, but to hold that up against the people of Ohio and the families that are dying on such a regular basis from these narcotics, that is short-sighted. That does not really reach the level that we as senators should aspire to. And so, Madam President, I make the following request. I ask unanimous consent that at a time to be determined by the Majority Leader with Republican Leaders' consultation, the Senate proceed to executive session to consider the nominations calendar number 314 and 315. 2 minutes for debate equally divided in the usual form on each nomination. That upon the use or yielding back of time, the Senate proceed to vote without intervening action or debate on the nominations in the order listed. The motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate. That no further motions be in order. that the President be immediately notified of the Senate's action and the Senate then resume the legislative session.
Is there objection?